can't rain all the time.
Hi guys, my name's Barry and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be doing a review for the original Crow from 1994 in the lead up to the Crow remake starring Bill Skarsgård. As this is an old movie guys, there are going to be spoilers in this review. So if you haven't seen the original film and you don't want to be spoiled, then obviously don't watch. However, if you don't mind spoilers or if you've seen the movie, then continue watching. Eric Draven and his fiancée are killed before their wedding on Devil's Night due to complaints from Shelley to the landlord. Eric just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. He comes back from the dead to exact revenge for their deaths. It's a very simple yet poetic plot from a graphic novel. I don't know if this was intentional because I haven't read the graphic novel, but Shelley being called Shelley sounds like it's after Mary Shelley Frankenstein, as well as Eric's name being Eric Draven, and if you break that up, it's Eric D. Raven, as in Eric the Raven, which is crazy because the film is called The Crow, but I know that they use ravens in the movie. I like how the crime was committed at the beginning of the film, so we don't initially see what happened. We're seeing it through Eric's eyes after he comes back alive, so whenever he remembers things that's happening, we're also seeing it for the first time. The city was very dark and bleak, and it reminded me of the city in Gotham through Batman films, and it's not the first time we'll be talking about Batman in this review. I love the way the film was shot as well, because you see that kind of dark grittiness of the city, and most of it, if not all of it, was set at night time. That's quite hard to shoot when you're filming something at night, always with hardly any lighting. So when the lighting was used throughout the film, it was actually gorgeous. I loved the look and the feel of the bad guys as well. It definitely felt like bad guys that you would see from an old-fashioned comic book, even for 1994. When I watched this in 94, which I think was the last time I watched it, I think that the bad guys even back then, I thought, wow, they look really comic book like from the 60s and 70s, and it's no different when I watched it now. And it's one thing I have to let you know, guys, is this is the first time I'm watching this film in 30 years, probably a little bit less than 30 years, but I don't remember, or I didn't remember any of the movie as I was watching it. The love between Eric and Shelley can be felt throughout the film, and it's funny because we don't really see much interaction between Eric and Shelley at all. We just see it through his memories and the incident at the beginning of the movie. So the fact that Shelley's hardly ever in this film, we still feel that connection between him and Shelley, and that's brilliant filmmaking. Eric will obviously stop at nothing to kill everyone involved in the killing of himself and Shelley, and luckily he's able to do that through his powers. There is a top dog called Top Dollar, I believe, and he doesn't like the fact that Eric is picking people off within his city, because Top Dollar feels like he's the one responsible for everyone in the city and he decides who lives or dies. So ultimately it's Top Dollar versus Eric. Top Dollar, with the help of his half-sister, which has a kind of Luke and Leia from Star Wars vibe to it, they try and figure out what's Eric's weakness, and they find out that Eric's weakness is the crow. They have to kill the crow in order to kill Eric's powers. Unfortunately for them, love conquered all, and Eric was able to defeat them. He didn't defeat them on his own though. He had help from a couple of people. Someone called Sarah, who was a little runaway girl that Eric and Shelley hung about with now and again because her mother would not take anything to do with her. Her mother was kind of a junkie who hung about with the people who actually killed Eric and Shelley. And also Sergeant Albright, who is, or was, an honest cop. He was a detective at the beginning of the movie, and he was demoted to just a basic beat cop. And he was helping him as well because he's an honest cop. He wants to do right by Eric's death and Shelley's death, as well as doing right by the city. Overall, the acting from the bad guys was corny, but it looked intentionally corny, and I don't mean it was bad, it was just corny, but cool and funny corny. I think one of the standouts, apart from Eric Draven, of course, was Sergeant Albright, played by Ernie Hudson, who was absolutely fantastic. But like I said, Brandon Lee as Eric Draven was amazing, and I couldn't remember how amazing he was until I watched the movie recently for this review, and he was outstanding. I do truly believe that, and I'm not just saying this because he's passed away now, I truly believe that if he didn't pass away, he would be one of the biggest movie stars today, similar to what Johnny Depp was at his peak and what Keanu Reeves is just now. I feel like he's got that kind of Keanu Reeves vibe to him, and he would be probably bigger than Keanu Reeves, because let's face it, Keanu Reeves isn't the best actor, whereas Brandon Lee looked like he had something about him. I think the film had a lot of similarities to Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. He had that similar face paint. Obviously, both actors passed away as well. And there's some lines in the film and some scenes in this film that reminded me of The Dark Knight.
Let's put a smile on that face. Yeah, put a smile on my face.
We can't talk about The Crow without talking about that fateful day where Brandon Lee did pass away. And I will kind of touch on it as well. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but there have been some weird similarities within the Lee family. There was a movie called Game of Death that starred Bruce Lee. And within that movie, he was a movie star within that movie who was killed by a prop gun in the storyline, and that's exactly what happened to Brandon Lee all these years later. But what makes it even more eerie is Bruce Lee died during the filming of Game of Death, not because of the prop gun, that was just part of the storyline, but he died under mysterious circumstances. But then when you look at the Brandon Lee situation, that wasn't mysterious circumstances, it was just pure tragedy. 30 years on, this movie is still beautiful. It was a stunning film to watch. I think it is quite sad watching a film with Brandon Lee, seeing the things that he does in the film, like getting shot and things. It's kind of hard to watch after 30 years knowing what actually happened on set, but I'm glad they went back to finish the movie. They weren't even going to finish the movie, but they spoke to his fiancée at the time and asked her, what do you want to do? And she said, and so did the Lee family, they said this was Brandon's life, this was his last ever movie, and he would have been proud to make this film, so they had to make it happen. They went back, completed the movie, as hard as that would be for everyone involved. They finished the movie, they brought it out, and it was amazing. Like I said, guys, I don't remember this film at all. Watching it now felt like I was watching it for the very first time, and I was blown away by it. I couldn't believe how amazing it was. It was way more amazing than I think I remember it being when I watched it initially. I remember watching it for the first time years ago thinking, that was okay. But I think obviously being older now, 30 years on from when The Crow came out, and seeing films that come out today, this film does stand up head and shoulders above the rest, especially for a film that's over 30 years old now. So amazing film. I was completely blown away by it. So what are your thoughts on the original Crow from 1994, guys? As always, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you soon.
Meeting adjourned.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
I want to know!